Welcome to the Robby Rowe Show. I am your host, Robby Rowland. You're listening to episode 60 with Raphael Turner. Let's hear a soundbite from Raphael.
I wish I had somebody to tell me, okay, do this and not do this. And when you're hitting, I wish I had people to tell me that this is what you should do in the recruitment process, not this. And so everything that I've always done from a business standpoint has always been in an effort to service people. That's it.
Listening to Clear the Mechanism. The Robby Rowe Show. The Robby Rowe Show.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy, Robby Rowland. And episode 60, we're going to do part one. I'm dabbling a little bit more with these multiple part episodes because I've been getting a little bit of feedback from you guys. Actually, early on, more feedback. When I would do just like one episode that was, over an hour long, and kind of just got some feedback saying, hey, if you split them up a little bit easier, something about not wanting to go back or hit pause, whatever it is, right? So that's why you're kind of seeing multiple part episodes these days, part one, part two. So this is going to be a two-parter. Episode 60 with Raphael Turner will be a two-parter. You're listening to part one right now. This is his and I's first conversation, so just me getting to know him, talking about what his foundation is, why he started, what he's doing right now. If you guys don't know who he is, go on Instagram and just type in "that hitting guy," and it will pop up. But as you can see on his Instagram, man, he's doing just great things. Very motivated. Inspirational individual. I totally freaking geek out when I talk to these guys, man. They're just they just bring so much energy to the table, and that's what Raphael does in this podcast. Excited to bring that to you guys. But this first part, I don't know if we dive so much into like the hitting stuff. That's going to be part two, more of like the details of the art of hitting. We're going to spend more time today on really like the foundational purposes of the game. And like I said, with his backstory, he's got a pretty unique backstory in how he got introduced to the game and what motivated him to keep working towards getting better. Because as you'll hear in the episode, he wasn't the traditional like, oh, I picked it up and I was really good. Like he's got a very unique story. And then he talks about how he connects to his guys, so the guys that he instructs on the hitting side, he wants to connect to them and instill certain desires, so therefore that he can put them in a position to succeed rather than them just coming in and focusing on the mechanics of a swing. He's more about big picture and process orientated, and I just freaking love that stuff. And I think we conclude with this episode with what he talks about in stop worrying about what other people think or what other people do. It's more about focusing on you as an individual and you in your process and how that can benefit you in the long run. And I think, as you guys know, being listeners of the show, that I totally just, I love that stuff, very passionate about that. So if you're a first time listener, welcome to the Robby Rowe Show. I hope I can keep you around. If you are interested in how this podcast was set up or future episodes or even past episodes, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and go ahead and check out other guests that I've had on. If you're not familiar with me, you can follow me on Instagram, RobbyRowe12, or Twitter @RobbyRowe_12. But yeah, we're bringing, I guess I'm bringing you guys about 3 episodes a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And looking forward to the future and bringing some other very inspirational people on to give you guys the best opportunity in your career or whatever your endeavors are. All right, guys. So without further ado, we'll get to the episode. I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. And okay, well, here is episode 60.1 of the Robby Rowe Show with Raphael Turner. All right, welcome everybody to the Robby Rowe Show. I got a special guest with me, Raphael Turner. Did I say your first name right? I totally forgot to ask you if that was right.
Raphael, Raph, Rafi.
What,
Raffy, Taffy, I've heard it all. So
what's your go-to? Like, what do the guys call you?
probably Raph or Raff.
Raph, yeah.
Raff,
Like
Raph.
the Ninja Turtle.
Yeah, depending on where you are, some people might even say Ralph.
Ralph.
Yeah, I did, believe it or not, for probably about the first 9 years.
No kidding.
Like my brother and sister, my mom, they call me Ralph. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah,
So, hey, dude, like, welcome to the show. And how you doing, man? You having a good day today so far? I heard you pretty busy day.
Got a lot. I'm cooking up, man. Trying to find another way, another avenue to service athletes a little bit more. So doing some things with nutrition. Obviously, I do that hitting stuff, but
that hidden stuff.
Nutrition. So yeah, I know, right? It's funny how I came up with that name. Because people would just come up to me like, you're that hitting guy. I'm like, yeah, Raphael, that's me. I said, oh man. And so when I thought about it, because I had my IG profile from like a while back.
Okay.
As you can already tell, I'm lighthearted. Comedy is my defense mechanism, and
Totally.
I like laughing, and I like making people laugh. I enjoy it. And so when I originally started my IG, this was back in like college, when people like weren't really really big on Instagram. I'd put a lot of comedy stuff, a lot of funny stuff on there, and I started my profile. I had like 400 people, and these were people that already knew me, and I just knew I wanted to create a little baseball thing. We can go into that story a little bit later, but I was like, what can I name this thing that will stick, right? Because I don't want to be Raphael Turner. That's hard to remember, and then you got to worry about telling people how to spell it when they want to put your name in to search you on IG.
That's true.
So I was like, what is catchy? I was thinking, what if somebody went to my profile and they say, yo, where'd you get that from? I got it from Raphael Turner on Instagram. I was like, nah, that's not gonna work. I got it from that hitting guy on Instagram. And I was like, yo, that's what's up right there. That hitting guy. So,
dude, that's genius too, because then when you have your kids, like the kids that don't really know a whole lot but know how to navigate through an Instagram, and they just go into type in that little explore bar hitting, like you're probably the first dude coming up.
I hope so.
That's genius, man. I got to take some notes from you on the old marketing tactics. So yeah, man. I mean, obviously we're kind of hammering home the start of the IG right here. So for those of you listening, coming from my channel that don't know Raphael, he is at that hitting guy on Instagram. So make sure that while you're listening to this show, to pull up your Instagram account and give him a follow, because I mean, dude, you're freaking doing it big, man. I want to know what's like. I know. So now we know how it started. What is like the background to the actual name behind the hitting guy? Like, what is your playing career like? Like I said before we started, I don't know anything about you, man. So you got to fill me in. I
like the fact that you don't know anything about me. It makes it so much cooler.
I know, right? It's good conversation.
Yeah. So, for me, I started playing baseball. I was about 13, 14, right? Mm-hmm. I was the crappiest player on the crappiest team in a rec ball league, to the point, my dad bought me this old Air Attack bat. And, I was so bad. I was the guy on the team that nobody wanted to let him use their bat because I was gonna put bad mojo on it. Like, that's how bad I was. And so, man, I don't even know. I was bad, and I didn't even want to play baseball. My dad, it was one of those things. I can't remember what season I was going into, and I told my dad I didn't want to play baseball. He was like, "Dude, just go play." I said, "I don't want to play." He said, "Look, I don't make you do anything, but this year you're playing baseball." He said, "You try it, you don't like it, don't ever play it again. But you're going to try baseball." I didn't have a choice. And so I went in. I was really, really bad at it. Like I said, with the worst team in the worst league. Worst team in the worst league.
Yeah.
I was the first person, on the worst team in this rec ball league. And so I don't know what happened, but we had the worst record in the league. But everybody got a chance to go to the playoffs, and we won the whole thing, right? And I was the guy playing right field. Coach really didn't want to have the responsibility of trying to catch a ball because I was really that bad. Like, people don't understand how bad I was my first year. And so I ended up making the game-winning catch to seal the game in the championship game. And I think that was the one piece that said, you know what, I'm going to pursue this baseball thing a little bit more. Like, I love the fact that I was so bad, but I got good at it, right? And so I said, you know what, I'm going to try the next year. ended up sticking with it, and one thing just kind of led to another. I think one of the biggest pieces for me in my career that made me want to stick with it was I was always bad, but when I left that first team, I went to another team that was just as bad, but I was better. So I was better than everybody, and it did something to me mentally. I started to think I was better than what I was. Right? And then that's when I started to see myself blossom as a player and want to do more and want to have more success and want to get this recognition. Just fell in love with it, honestly. And my dad, he didn't really play a lot of baseball. He didn't play baseball past high school. And so for him, my dad, he would just always give me these hidden books. His thought process was, look, if I can't teach you how to do it, then you need to open up a book and figure out how to get it done. And man, I got some books that I live by, and I started reading them. One thing led to another, and I showed out in middle school, and then I got to high school, and I played varsity. I went from a junior high to high school, so I went into high school in 10th grade. The first swing I ever took in high school, I hit like a 3-run bomb. Right?
Hey.
So like it just success from an offensive standpoint, it followed me, but people don't really understand the work ethic that I had to put behind it to make it happen. And so like even in high school, my coach, Eddie Saw, I remember like it was yesterday. We had, obviously you got your JVs and you got your varsities. And like we had so many people, and you don't have many hands helping you in high school baseball. And so Eddie Saw, he went to me, Coach Saw, he said, Raph, I want you to take some of these junior varsity hitters and turn them into swingers. And I can remember one guy in particular, AJ, dude was lefty, and I taught him, and he just started raking. Right. And so it was, I don't know, I've always been in love with hitting, like the struggle of it and overcoming. And, it's never perfect. I always tell people hitting is like women. You'll never truly understand it. You know what I'm saying?
Quoting it.
You'll never truly understand it, but it's beautiful when you find that good relationship that serves you. You know what I'm saying? So once you figure out some things about it, like you just go back to what works. So after that, after high school, I really wasn't recruited heavily. I'm from Washington, D.C., so it wasn't really a heavily recruited area. And it got to a point that the girl that I was seeing at the time, I was a senior in high school, and I had no looks. Dude, I'm going into my senior year in the fall. No looks. Nobody's talking about getting me. Nobody recruited me. And I was nasty in high school, okay? Yeah. And so the girl that I was seeing, she said, well, maybe my friend can help you. Her mom is a guidance counselor in college. I said, what? She said, yeah. She said, maybe she can figure some stuff out and make something happen. So I sit down, we talk with her, and the first recommendation she tells me is, make a list of 100 schools. And top of my list, Florida, Florida State, UVA, Georgia Tech, Toledo, because I think Toledo was absolutely dirty at the time.
Killing it.
So I bring this lady this list of 100, and she looks at it. First thing she does, Florida State, march it off. I'm like, what? I'm good enough to play there. She's like, 1, it's too late. 2, we need to look at your test scores. Like, it was just a lot of things. But the recruiting there, they already got things under wraps.
No, it's ridiculous. Yeah,
you're not getting there your senior year in the fall.
Right.
So, and I didn't understand. I had no clue about the recruiting process. So of that, man, because email wasn't huge, she marked out 50 of them, and we sent out snail mail to 50 schools. All right, like typed up letters, put them in the mail.
What year is this? I'm curious now.
This is 05.
Okay, gosh, dog it. The email wasn't big back in 05?
Not like that.
Well, not like it is now, I'm sure. I'm like picturing you putting buying a carrier pigeon and like putting the letter in there and like telling the pigeon to go to Mike Martin at Florida State.
Right. Nah, man, And so I've sent out 50 letters, man. I only heard back from probably about 15 people.
Right.
And of those 15, I think only 10 were interested. But so in Washington, D.C., you can get in-state tuition to any public university, right? Mm-hmm. So what I did was all the private universities, I marked them off. And I ended up with like 5 schools. I think it was Radford was one, Towson was another, Kent State was another, Grambling State University, that was another. I was highly, highly considering Richmond. But Richmond, ultimately, that one came off because it was another one of those private universities. And so of the 4 schools that I had, man, I only got a visit to one. Right. And that one visit was to Raphael University. So I made a decision on it. But even before that decision, like, this was the type of player that I was. Right. I've always been, confident, borderline cocky, probably cocky, depending on who you ask.
Love it.
I think you can agree with this. It's in the DNA of great hitters to be that type of person. I don't care how silent they are.
Oh, great athletes, right?
That's it. That's what it boils down. You have to truly think mentally that you're ahead of everybody else.
100%.
That's the only way it happens. And so I still remember that Ryan Brittle, he was the recruiting coordinator for Raphael University at the time. He hits me up. He's like, clearly we're interested in you. We want to come watch you play. We're going to be in that area on this date because you guys are going to be playing St. John's College University, high school college. That's one. They're one of the powerhouses in Washington, D.C. And so he said, we want to watch you play against St. John's. So he sends me that text message. This is what I sent back to him. I said, get your popcorn ready.
Oh, gosh.
Dude, come on. Like, as a senior in high school, right? You're talking to a college recruiter. You tell him, get your popcorn ready. So,
well, you got that chip on your shoulder at this point.
Oh, man, bro. I was just, I don't know. It's so many things, so many stories I could go back to. So he shows up. I had a bomb that night.
Yeah.
And, cashed in on it. Like, I don't know. I've always felt like, just like what you say, it's always been that chip and overlooked a little bit. And this is how naive I was about baseball and the process of playing. Like, I knew I wanted to be a professional baseball player, right? My goal was nothing more than Major League Baseball. Yeah. But this is how ignorant I was to it. I did not know that you could get drafted out of high school. I had no idea. My thought process was, Raphael, the next step, you have to go to college, play for 4 years, and then you get. I remember one of my friends telling me when I found out my boy was draft eligible as a junior, because he was always a little bit older than everybody. He said, "Yeah, man, I'm going into the draft next year." I said, but you haven't even graduated yet. Like, you haven't finished your 4 years. He said, "No, it's whenever you're 21 or you're a junior in college, then you're draft eligible." I said, "What, for real?" I said, "Man, then I'm gonna get out of this. I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna get out ASAP." That was my thought process. So, man, a lot of things happened, a lot of twists and turns during my career. Hitting just naturally came to me. When I went to Radford, I started as a true freshman. I got moved to the 3-hole after like a 7th game, and I ended up having this like crazy hamate injury. And I ended up having season-ending surgery, and it just completely changed things for me. My swing wasn't the same. I wasn't the same guy mentally, and it shifted a lot of things for me. Just injury-riddled a lot throughout my college career. Like, as soon as my hamate got healthy, my swing was terrible, and I was borderline wanting to quit. And then once that got healthy and I found my swing, I tore my triangular fibrocartilage complex, TFCC, in the other wrist. Had to have season-ending surgery on it. Then I got healthy again. Swing was coming around. My senior year, I break my middle finger. And so I had a lot of average seasons. For most guys, that average players, they would say they're better than average. But for me, based on what I knew I could do, I had a very average season. So my last year at Radford, when I broke my middle finger, I had no choice. I didn't have another medical red shirt, and I was like, "Yo, you either got to play or you going to sit the heck down." And so I played through more than half of the season with a broken middle finger. I had the best season of my life. Best season of my life. Hit like 380, 10 bombs, 60 RBI, stole almost 30 bags. And I was like, just some things that our mind can take us places that we don't realize. And so after that happened, I thought I would get a chance to get drafted, but didn't. Ended up playing independently on the professional level. Yeah,
where'd you play?
I played at Lake Erie.
Oh, okay.
In the Frontier.
Yeah, I played there.
Yeah, that's what's up. So with the pressure, so did that after they released me all last year. I went to the Boomers, played there, didn't make it out of spring training, got released. Like, bruh, it's time to try to figure some other things out. And so I came home, moved to Charlotte, opened up a baseball organization, getting right into it. And I was like, I want to give kids what I didn't have. I wish I had somebody to tell me that you can get drafted out of high school. I wish I had somebody to tell me, okay, do this and not do this. And when you're hitting, I wish I had people to tell me that this is what you should do in the recruiting process, not this. And so everything that I've always done from a business standpoint has always been in an effort to service people. That's it. So when guys always come to me, and then people ask me about my Instagram profile all the time, how'd you do that? How'd you build that? I made it with the intent to service people.
Boom.
That's it. That's really what it boiled down to. And when you couple the credibility and knowledge that I had within the game, it was like, okay, people listen. And that was all she wrote. And so for me, when that hitting guy spawned when I wanted to take a step from my travel baseball organization. I was working like 60 to 70 hours a week.
Yeah.
And I was making decent money, but I didn't like the fact that I was pricing guys out of the game. And I felt like there were so many more people that wanted the knowledge that I had, and I felt like I had to broaden my base. And so I stepped away from my baseball organization, started up this entity known as That Hitting Guy. And guys start paying attention, and so it's been that ride ever since.
Gosh, dog it, man. I mean, it's about establishing a foundation, right? I mean, that's like that's just life, dude. And I just love how you said, like, how can I service others, man? Like, that's kind of my motto too. And I feel like once you have a foundation built on a purpose like that, then your fuel and your motivation is never lacking, right?
Right.
Like you're able to do it each and every day because of why you do it.
Absolutely. And you make a great point. Just with that, that's so heavy right there. Like, people can come to you and say, yo, Rob, how can I get this podcast, or how can I do this? But intrinsically, if you don't have that piece of you that is motivating and fueling you to get something like this done, people can hear it in your energy that you're just not made for it. So when people hit me up, they say, Rob, how can I develop this profile? Well, you got to go back to being a 13-year-old kid that can't freaking swing a bat. You got to go back to the 13-year-old kid that goes to his dad and says, Dad, I want this bat, right? This was like when bats just got to $200 a pop, right?
Yeah.
The Eastern Seacore had came out.
Holla.
Right? You know what I'm saying? It had just came out. $199. I'm getting the East Bay catalog, flipping right to the baseball section. Dad, I want this bat right here. You know what he looks at me and says? This dude says to me, no. I said, what? Why can't I want this bat? He said, why would I get you that bat when you can't even hit?
Hey.
Right?
Pop's got it.
Exactly. And so people come to me and say, I want to build this profile. Yo, you don't know what it took. It took 15 years to get to this point. I can't just give you the key. This is not about a secret formula. I am the formula.
Well, you know what it is, man, is like, I hate, sometimes I come off like I'm harping on the millennials, and I don't want to be that guy. But at the same time, we live in an instant gratification society, man. Like, one way or the other, I think these kids, and, we could literally talk for another 6 hours about why that is, and what are these, like, participation trophies doing to us as a society and as an athletic culture and all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, like, your foundation for why you do things has to be stable, and it has to be sturdy. You can't build something on a weak foundation, right? And so I think for me too, man, like, that goes with saying your baseball career, right? Like, people ask, the popular topic obviously is like, how do I be a professional baseball player? How do I do this? How do I do this in baseball or whatever? And I do, like, you have to reiterate over and over again that instead of thinking so much in the beginning about the physical demandments and the skill acquisitions and all of that stuff, like, how much do you love the game? Like, what is your foundation for why you play it? Like, is it to be a more popular high school kid? Is it to get women? Is it to get money? Like, get paid? Like, what is it? Because, as you know, man, baseball is going to kick you freaking to the dirt, and it's not going to care one way or the other what it did to you. And right. And if you have that foundation of like, okay, I'm only playing this to, be more popular, then you're gonna lose out on a lot of things moving forward.
Absolutely, man. I definitely felt like, I looked at my career, man. I always felt like I was never good enough.
Yeah.
Like, always. And it's funny because I talk to people all the time, and Ed Milet is one of my. I've just been binging on his podcast for like the last.
You're not binging on my podcast, man.
I'm just about you, but now I'm gonna check it out. That's all I listen to now when I'm in the gym. I listen to podcasts, and so it's crazy because he talks about this dream that he has where I think it's the Dodgers. He's playing for the Dodgers, and they're calling out the lineups. And they say, now your center fielder, your starting center fielder, Ed Milet, but he's outside of the stadium, and he can't get in. Right? For me, the dream that I have when I play, it's like every time I have a baseball dream, it's so funny because everybody knows me as that hitting guy. The one thing I never get a chance to do in my dreams, guess what? Is hit.
Yeah.
I have plenty of dreams I walk up to. I've never had a plate appearance in my dreams.
Yeah.
Ever. It's the crazy. I don't know why. I can't explain it. But as a hitter, I've always felt like I've never been good enough.
Dude, I want to dive into that, man, because this is like a popular topic, even just for me in my life right now, is as I'm kind of slowly transitioning from the playing side and now the how can I inspire and motivate and educate and all that stuff to the younger guys is I think you and I have that thing in common where when we fail, we respond accordingly to, I don't want that failure again. We have that little bit in us that goes, whatever it is, we have that thing inside us that says, nope, like we're not gonna miss that freaking ball again. And I think it's interesting because where do we go as the positions that you and I are in today? How do we kind of take that, how do we instill that type of feeling or desire, whatever you want to call it, in other athletes?
That's $1 million question.
Right? Like, I mean, I send out, I make a bunch of posts on it too because I want conversation about it. I want to know, do people think that you're born with it? Do people think that it's external? Do people think that it's internal? Like what, and I'd love to, we don't have to spend too much time on it, but I just love conversation like this.
Nah, you're absolutely fine, man. We might even go over now. See, now you got me locked in now. Dude, it's people built differently.
Yeah.
You can't. That's one thing I've had to realize, especially in the new line of work that I'm in. It's just everybody's not built for it. It's just that simple. Can it be taught? I'm not sure. I'm really not. And kind of still goes back to one of the podcasts I listened to before. Like there's this dangerous ground. I feel like with between you got the haves and you got the have-nots, right? When you look at professional athletes, typically you got one of two players on either of the spectrums. You got the guy coming from a bad background, didn't get a lot, had to make a way to get out of where he came from. And then you got the guys that they've been spoon-fed. They've been given everything, right? They've gotten the instruction. They've gotten the weightlifting coach, and they've gotten all the training. They went to the big school.
Yep.
And similarly, both guys make it to the league.
Yep.
The issue is what happens to the guys in the middle that it's not that they don't have a lot. Like there's nothing to escape. And they don't have so much that is given to them. It's just comfort in the middle. It's a lot of comfort. And, for me, I still feel like I haven't gotten to that sweet spot yet because I was one of those middle guys. I've never been, I didn't have a bad background. My parents, dual parent household. Both worked great jobs. Never had to ask for anything. Anything I wanted, I could have. But it wasn't to the point that, I got a trainer and all, I knew everything and was told everything and was taught, literacy in different areas, not just in baseball, but financial. I didn't have that stuff.
Yeah.
But I knew just enough to say, you know what? I want to get that. I want to get that. And I knew just enough to know that I don't want to go to that place. Right. And so it's a dangerous ground. It's a lot of people I feel like in the middle. But those you got those 10%ers that top and bottom, right? And just finding that fuel. You got to find something intrinsically, and I just really feel like a lot of people just aren't
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things too, where like, right, you have like the two different types of individuals where life is going to throw you a bunch of curveballs, whether it be at 3,100 RPMs or 2,200, right? But it is, and I think the two types of different people go, all right, I want to learn from this, and I want to better myself from this experience that I've had. And then you have the other individual, and no disrespect, but you have that individual who says, I don't want to feel this again, so I don't want to put myself out there again in this situation, so I'm out. Right?
Absolutely. Because I think those are people that identify with failure.
Yeah.
I don't identify in failure. I can't look back and maybe it's just me. I'm probably sure that there are some things that I just didn't do well, but I don't know one thing I've ever not been able to excel at. Like I tell guys all the time. I take business propositions to guys. I say, look, if I say it's going to work, it's going to work. Yeah. There's a lot of people that I took my baseball facility idea to, right? And they didn't buy into it, right? It's a lot of things, a lot of businesses that I've done. But for me, it's not, when I fail, it's not, I always feel like I fail not because it didn't work. I feel like I failed because I didn't do it right.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Totally.
So for me, there's always an answer. It's always an answer, right? And it's always this pursuit of perfection. I look at businesses and I look at people doing stuff, and I'm not the type of guy, I don't say to myself, okay, well, that person is doing that because of that, because they have that.
Yep.
I say,
if I just had that, or if I just had what he,
I don't say that. I say what my mindset is different. I say that person has that, and I can have that too, probably even better if I can learn what they do and some more skill sets. Like if that person can show me what they do, I can replicate it for sure, without a doubt. Probably even improve the process.
It's funny too because you mentioned chasing perfection, right? And like this is, I mean, I am like, I mean, shoot, man, it's almost disgusting how much of a perfectionist I am, you know, and we talk about in the baseball world how it could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing, like whatever it is, what you make it. And I think it does go back to those types of individuals where there's the one baseball player that says, like, perfectionism, like everything that I do on the field, I'm going to chase doing that perfect. And then there's the other guy that says, I can't ever be perfect, so therefore my work that goes into whatever it is, maybe not at 110% capacity.
Yeah. And you know, and this is one of the things that kind of bother me. My best and worst characteristic, I realize this as a coach. I wish I'd have realized it sooner. My best and worst characteristic is that I see so much potential in people.
Yep.
Right? So I say it's my best because I can speak life into people. But I say it's my worst because it disappoints me when they don't see what I see and they don't work like it. Right? And so it's funny because over my career, one of my coaches that had the greatest impact on my career, I had like one of the worst relationships with. And that was in college. Brian Anderson. Got very successful catcher, played at George Mason University, and we never got along. We just never ever got along.
Yeah,
he was always criticizing me. Everything I did was never good enough. I'm like, yo, why is this dude hating on me so hard? Right? I'm like, what is going on? And it was just one season that I came back, and I was like, Raph, stop trying to please your. For some reason, I was like, bruh, you've done for your entire college career, you've done everything you could to please everybody. Start pleasing yourself. Stop worrying about what people think. And when that happened, I showed up like no other. And it was at that point in time that I realized that that's what he was trying to pull out of me. Because so many people have been telling me, Raphael, you got so much potential. You can do this. You can do that. You're so fast. You can hit bombs. And I built this identity around potential. But you probably gonna have to bleep this out, but this is I'm going to translate potential for you. Potential is another way of saying you ain't did shit.
Yeah.
That's it. And so, a lot of these guys, just like what you're talking about, like this microwave identity of success that people have, high school kids and middle school kids. Like I was coaching them, and they say, "Coach, can we get these jerseys? Can we get this? Can we get that?" But when I played, I didn't put the value on my jersey. Like, I don't know what you did when you were balling, but for us, we were still getting hand-me-downs. Like, the team that played the season before, we got those jerseys.
Yeah.
Right? And so it didn't really matter what we put on. The dirty pants. Here's what mattered. When you get on the field with us, we're going to make you feel like you don't deserve to be in the lines. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't deserve to be here. Period. When I played against somebody in high school, college, and when I heard people talk about somebody else, it's like they shouldn't be talking about them. They should be talking about me. So when I get on the field, it's to show you that I'm the man around here. Mm. And I think a lot of kids these days, they're not raised with that. They don't. And a lot of, you got to realize too, man, 85% of parents didn't play college sports.
Yeah.
It's hard to build that type of athlete when you haven't been there and know what it takes from a mental perspective. You can be as strong as you want to, but mentally, if you're weak, it's not going to translate.
Yeah, and I think it's on the athlete to, I think the athlete has to want it, and we can talk all day about, what steps he's got to take to actually instill that desire to want it inside of him. But at the end of the day, he just has to want it. Right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like, if you're an athlete and you don't really, really want it, right? Like, quoting like the great Eric Thomas, that's my guy. But if you don't really want it and you just say you want it, right? Like, you kind of want it, and you're not willing to do all of the necessary things that require you to do, then you're going to fizzle out. You're going to fade out. And it's just, I think the sport of baseball is a great example of that, man, because it is so freaking hard. It is so hard, and there's no room for you to not give 120% each and every day, right? All right, guys, that'll conclude part one of this two-part episode. Appreciate you guys for tuning into this one, and make sure in 2 days you check out part two, because as you've seen that, Rafi's dope. He's an OG. He's awesome, man. So definitely be on the lookout for part two. Like I said, it'll be released. This episode will be released Monday, and then part two will be released Wednesday. So be sure to check that out. And if you enjoyed the podcast, go ahead and let me know about it. Go to iTunes or whatever platform you're listening to on. Leave a review. Write something nice. You don't gotta lie. Because as a podcaster, that's how I get better. I've been doing this for a year now, but it's weird because I still don't really consider myself like a podcaster, right? So I'm always trying to figure out ways to get better. So let me know. Leave a review. Let me know what you think. If it's positive, I appreciate it. If it's negative, I still appreciate it. All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Appreciate each and every one of you. And we'll be talking to you soon. All right, guys. God bless. Talk to you later.